Hello, everyone, and welcome to FAMTech Smarter Design, leveraging technologies for strategic, connected project planning. Happening today, May 8th, 2025. We are so excited to have you join us in this virtual session. Thank you for being part of this innovative gathering where technology meets strategic design. In this session, expect practical insight on design innovation, smart technologies, and digital solution. Each track brings a fresh and unique perspective, so be sure to explore as many as you can throughout the event. To help you navigate this virtual experience, here's a quick guide. First, click on Introduction and Info for general event details and live session access. Check out Exhibitor section to explore featured products and chat directly with brand representatives. Need some help or have some question? Visit the community room to connect with our support team or raise any technical concerns. Need some help? After watching this session, don't forget to complete the quick post-track survey. Two lucky viewers will win 250 Gcash vouchers, and winners will be selected based on the number of correct answers across the tracks we have watched. That means the more tracks you explore and answer, the better your chances of winning. Fantech's marketing team will contact the winners after post-event validation. Are you thinking of joining us in person? We'd love to see you. Just head to the location menu for venue details and give our dedicated number a call to confirm your attendance on site. And while you're here, don't miss the exhibitor section where you can chat with our partner brands, discover new solutions, and even unlock exclusive offers. And if you need help along the way, the community room is always open for your questions and concerns. To stay updated and connected beyond today, simply scan the QR code that you can see on screen and follow Fantech's official Viber and MS Teams communities. You'll get access to exclusive content, special offers, and timely event updates. If you need assistance, you can reach us out anytime through our email inquiry at fantech-innovative.com. You can also contact our hotline at 0968 614-0597. Also, be sure to follow FamTech Innovative on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube for more updates. Just search our name on your favorite platform. And now, let's dive into today's track and hear from one of our incredible thought leaders. Enjoy and be inspired.
Hi, good day. My name is John Calizo. I represent Packetworks. And before anything else, I would like to thank FamTech for inviting me to this virtual presentation. And on my end, I would like to talk about the importance of IoT, how it's slowly becoming a part of our society, and opportunities that we can take advantage of through FamTech and other partners so that we can maximize the adoption of IoT in the IT market and the Philippine market in general. So I'd like to share my slides with you. If you give me a moment here to set it up. There you go. Yeah, I hope everybody can see my slides. Now, just to start, everybody's familiar with the internet right now. Basically, it's a technology that at the moment cannot really function without, similar to electricity and water and whatnot. So it has become a part of our everyday lives and utilities that we use in the houses and companies. So the internet basically has brought about changes in terms of connecting people, businesses with one another, makes our transactions faster and everything better. In hindsight, we would like to take a look at technologies that we use little by little starting from the advent of electricity and other things that we use on a daily basis. The goal of which are to improve our lives, make our operations better. So IoT is no different from these, and the Internet of Things, basically it's the next evolution for the internet. So if the internet connects people, the Internet of Things, as it's worded, connects things. So how do we take advantage of this technology in order to make our businesses better? So let's just start with a quote from a management consultant, an Austrian management consultant. His name is Peter Drucker. So he said, if you cannot measure it, you cannot change it. We would like to add, other than measure and change, you cannot control it. So in everything that we do, if you want to improve things, we must know the measure of it. So we have a benchmark of what we want to improve. So similar to athletes, if they're training for sporting events, example, setting a world record in swimming, if you're going for that record, you must first know what the record is. So if you know the record, now you can actually take your shot and hope to improve on it. Scientifically, athletes break it down to parts. So they'd be able to measure if they're in pace with the world record. So yeah, going back to what I'm saying here is, if we know bits and pieces of information about our business or operations, we can improve it. Knowing these can affect the business moving forward. So the Internet of Things basically helps us gather data, and the data that we gather can be used to make data-driven decisions. Unlike before, when we just basically look at trends, it's data, but it's basically an historical data of trends. It's somewhat lacking in terms of moving forward in terms of data-driven decisions. But the Internet of Things gives us real-time, almost real-time data to make those decisions and make impactful actions on it. So on the screen right now, we can show you the value cycle that we get from IoT. So the IoT, or the Internet of Things, enables devices to get physical data from the edge. So edge meaning if you want to measure air quality, you have to put sensors out there, maybe in the street or a park or a building for that matter, and take a measure of parameters that you want to measure, like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and whatnot. After getting all of this data, you now do analytics on it. So if you do data analytics, you will arrive at decision points, and then decide to improve it or reduce, whatever the case may be. And the end goal would be making your operations better. So basically, that's the value cycle that Internet of Things brings to the table. Right now, we're at the age of digital transformation, especially coming off from the pandemic. So little by little, especially here in the Philippines, we have transformed our business into digital transactions. So best example would be the use of GCash or PayMaya or other payment platforms that are now accepted even in fast food chains, even in vendors on the street. You'll be surprised that they have GCash QR codes, so you can now pay the sorbeteros there, the taho vendors. I'm not saying it's all, but basically some of them is taking advantage of this technology to enable their customers to pay digitally. So, having said that, so we're at the age of digital transformation. So what this does is gives us a lot of information from digital sources, from physical sources, with the use of IoT and taking advantage of emerging technologies such as AI. So the Internet of Things or application platforms gives us big data, which is now fed to a platform which uses AI or other technologies to come up with a suggestion, a better way to go in terms of operations or other things that we want to improve in our businesses. So all of this is done through the cloud. The cloud has practically replaced the physical servers that we have. So cloud basically holds all the data and then feeds it to a platform that we can use to enable our businesses to decide on things to improve operations. A sample of emerging technologies, as I mentioned, we have artificial intelligence, virtual reality, we have now data analytics, and we have predictive forecasting, and other forms of emerging technologies. Now, these technologies are fueled by data from applications that we use and IoT for that matter. Just to give you a sample of the sources of our data, we have digital ones, as I mentioned. So we have platforms like Spotify, Netflix, and other platforms that when you click them, it captures your behavior through cookies and gives you suggestions. And this is a big thing in terms of marketing, because before, when you market stuff, we just gauge it on the trends, but now you get the actual preference of the end customers. Like for Spotify, if you keep on clicking on classical music, Spotify will give you a list of classical musicians that you might want to listen to. Some of them you might have known, some of them you might haven't heard before. So it gives equal footing to artists in this area. As for that's one sample. It can happen to Netflix as well and other platforms using the digital data platform. For the physical side, this data is derived from sensors that we put outside. We have temperature sensors, humidity sensors. We have water meters. We have electric meters that basically measure parameters like consumption, like the temperature, which can be used later on to improve your operations in terms of these parameters. So at this day and age, it's now possible to get this physical data using long range connectivity and bring it to a central repository or a server at somebody's office in order for them to analyze. Now, just want to tell you about a little bit about our company. We are PacketWorks. We're the first and only LoRaWAN connectivity provider in the Philippines. Now, what is LoRaWAN? LoRaWAN is the go-to technology when it comes to deploying IoT to a large area, or its large-scale deployment of IoT. It's popular because of its range. It's popular because of the low cost to implement and ability of the signal to penetrate obstructions that usual connectivities are having difficulty or a challenge to penetrate. So packet works as well. We design and develop our own wireless power devices if it's not available in the market. And we also buy third-party devices if it's available. So some of them also, even if it's available, we modify depending on the use case for IoT connectivity. So that's who we are. We are housed in Ortigas Center. Building is I Square, and the whole ground floor is packet work. So one side is for executive office, and the other side is for our manufacturing offices. So we're also the only member in the Philippines of LoRa Alliance. It's a nonprofit organization based in the US, and it has gathered all the LoRaWAN technology network operators and device providers in order for them to work together and increase or fast track the adoption of this technology in terms of spreading IoT around the world. So according to studies, this is the opportunity that we're looking at. So by 2028, or should I say, let's give it an allowance of 1 to 2 years, like 2029 to 2030, the potential of the IoT market would be around 2.6 trillion dollars in terms of opportunities around the world. And right now, the IoT that we use to gather data, improve operations is mostly located or being used in businesses. So like manufacturing, healthcare, retail, security. But here in the Philippines, mission of PacketWorks is to fast track the adoption of IoT in the Philippines. So that's our main goal, for it to be a useful technology for businesses right now. So all of the data that will be coming in from the devices would be viewed through the use of a dashboard. So the dashboard will give you the data that the devices are gathering outside. So this data, as I mentioned earlier, would be used to feed platforms like AI and help you make better decisions in terms of how to move the business forward in terms of improving operations. Now, how does our platform work? So I have the sensors on the left side of this equation. So the sensors gather the data. By the way, LoRaWAN stands for long range. So that's LoRa and wide area network. So when we say long range, the connectivity can travel kilometers from one device to the gateway. And most of the devices that we use are 90% battery operated. So it's very easy to deploy, and the batteries usually last 2 to 3 years, depending on the frequency of sending the data. Data that we send, the type of data that we send out of from the device are called telemetry data. Telemetry data, these are bits of information, bits of data that measure temperature. They measure location, humidity, and other pertinent data that we can use to improve our operations, our daily operations like consumption and other stuff. So the sensors on the left side, so uh, when they are programmed to give out data about the environment they're sensing, it transmits a signal to the gateway, the LoRaWAN gateway. So sometimes it can travel like 10 to 15 kilometers from the device to the gateway. And then the gateway translates this data into IP, pushes it to the cloud, and then the cloud pushes it to the dashboard. So in the dashboard, you can see uh, the data that the device has picked up, whether it's a temperature data, whether it's a humidity data. It's a security breach data in terms of door sensors, consumption data, whether water or electricity. So that's how we do it. And it's a very simple network architecture. And all of this is protected by an encryption. Uh, it's it's AES-128 at the moment. So following our key vertical applications for this technology, we can use the devices for smart cities to gather information about different facets of the city, like consumption of electricity or water. We can also use noise pollution sensors. We can also use temperature gauges to take the temperature in certain locations and basically decide on policies and how to move forward to improve. So similar to commercial buildings, just a smaller scale. Also for industries, for safety devices, we can put in certain manufacturing companies. Again, these devices can be cross referenced to be used depending on the use case. The important thing here is the use case. So you have to talk to whoever's the end user and understand their pain point in order for you to put out the appropriate solution for these things. So it can also be used for residential and commercial buildings. One use that I can think of is measurement of electricity and water so as not to do a physical read of everything. At the moment in the Philippines, that's what we do, which is very, very prone to human error because you have to read the meters, write down what you read, or have somebody write it down, push it to a platform to compute like Excel, and then you print it out. So with smart meters, you can just transmit every day the data depending on your preference, and then digitally you can just push it to export it to Excel or any other form or platform that you want to have this captured. And then you can either print it if it's your choice, but if you want to save on paper, you can actually push it to emails of the tenants or whoever you're talking with in terms of the consumption of the electricity or the water. For transportation, we can also use IoT devices to monitor the movements of your vehicles. So we can put sensors in the vehicles. Disaster management solutions is very popular with LGUs. So we put out sensors to detect the level of floods, amount of rain that's been pouring, and other disaster management solutions like weather stations. So this gives us a glimpse or at least an idea of the microclimate, not depending on the usual weather bureaus that may take some time before you react. So this one gives the LGU the capability of seeing this data on their own and enables them to act quickly. For agriculture as well, we can use this to monitor soil moisture, soil health, and react accordingly to improve how should we water or how should we put fertilizer in our plants to increase productivity. Uh, these are some of the smart solutions that we offer for the different verticals that I've just discussed. So we have for disaster preparedness, we have flood sensors in place. So we either put it to monitor the level of flood from a elevated standpoint like a bridge, or we either put a submersible device or sensor that can detect level through pressure. So as the water rises, the sensor senses that the pressure is increasing, therefore the level of the water is increasing as well. So we have, as I mentioned, also we have weather stations that can detect. Basically, it has a barometer, it can detect air pressure. It can also detect wind direction, radiance of the sun. Has a rain gauge as well. So amount of rain that's falling in an area. We have a separate rain gauge, like this one with a solar panel, so we can put it in places that when it rains can affect other areas, but it's too far to be seen. So this is true in high and low areas, like in high areas like mountains. There are instances that it's raining in and on top of the mountains, and on the lowlands, it's very sunny. But after 2 to 3 minutes of hard rain, upland flash floods come. So we can now be warned by these devices in order to save lives or enable our response to be faster. So for environmental sensing devices, we have air quality sensors like indoor air quality sensors, outdoor air quality sensors. They can detect amounts of carbon dioxide in a certain room, a certain area, which is actually, based on studies, are very harmful to humans if we inhale a lot of CO2. It also detects or measures the amount of chemical vapors in the air, which is harmful to us as well. These are caused by cleaning agents or other chemicals that we use around the office. We also have wireless smoke sensors, and we also have noise pollution sensors. So noise pollution sensors can detect decibel levels. So if a city has an ordinance that noise should not go past a certain decibel level, these devices can measure it, and we can use it to implement the policy for everybody in the city. For smart agriculture, as mentioned, we have devices that can measure the amount of moisture in the soil, which is very important. Also, the amount of nutrients in the soil, or NPK. So more or less, it gives us an idea of how much fertilizer and water to use for these use cases. So not to overwater the plants or your crops, and not to over deploy or put fertilizers in the soil, because it's also a very costly practice to put too much fertilizer in the soil, and aside from that, it might ruin production for you also. And last but not the least, we have the consumption or power meters and water meters that can be used to measure consumption of power and water remotely. So you don't, if once implemented, you don't need people to go around the community or buildings to read the meters. Meters can automatically send you the data and then consolidate everything for your for your use, especially for billing. So we also have smart switches or controllers that you can use to remotely control, in this case, lights, for example, inside the gym or office. You can use these devices to remotely turn on and off certain appliances. So just a sample of use case. This is how it's mounted in buildings, no? So for the smart light controllers or the smart switches, we can put it in buildings and have it control uh, appliance or lights, for that matter, as mentioned. This is how you set it on the picture below. This is how you set up a smart power meter. So it's beside the breaker. Basically, this is how it will look like. It doesn't take up much space and gives the visibility to read your electricity on a daily basis, not to wait for a 1 month time period to read it. So if you read it on a day-to-day basis, even the water, it gives you better view of the data and it gives you more time to adjust in terms of consumption. If you're consuming too much or if there's something wrong with your system. So again, these are the devices that we use for those use cases. These ones are the ones that we use for farming for agricultural purposes. So the crop productivity monitoring devices, we have the soil moisture and NPK sensors. These are for, again, the moisture of the soil and how much water content they have now. Is it time to water them already? So now we can use this data to do exactly that. Also for NPK sensors, we can now detect the amount or amount of fertilizer in the soil, which can be a trigger for us to either increase or not put the fertilizer at the moment. So this is how you set it up. It's very basic. You just put it basically in the soil which you are measuring. So we can maximize our fertilizer allocation. That's the benefit. So we reduce waste in terms of putting too much fertilizer on the crops, and we get an accurate reading of the nutrients in the soil and the moisture content. So next we have the disaster preparedness solutions. So these are, as mentioned, the ones that are used to measure floods and weather behavior for certain LGUs to help them react faster and give them a precise historical data of the area. So data is very important for them to formulate policies in terms of, let's say, what amount of rain will bring flood to a certain area, or will it actually sink their city. So beforehand, if they experience this much rain, as measured by the smart rain gauges, they can immediately react and not waiting for them to receive more rain or reach the level that it's basically too late for them to react. So we have flood monitoring sensors, we have rain gauges, we have weather stations for you. So again, use cases for street measurement of floods, you can use the hydrostatic submersible devices that we put in along the street in gutters. And for river basins, we can use proximity sensors that measure the level of water physically from the mounting area or some mostly in the bridge. And as it gets closer to the river level, so it detects an increase in level of the water there. So this is a sample of how a smart city may choose to adopt IoT sensors for them. So power meters for all the government offices or all the private offices. For government, if they're gonna implement this, they will be now able to measure all the consumption of the buildings and pinpoint which building or which office consumes most electricity or water in relation to the number of transactions or manpower that they have. For noise sensors, again, these are for monitoring the noise in relation to existing ordinances for noise levels, which they can improve. So for flood sensors, we also have air quality sensors. Air quality sensors are important, or temperature gauges also, especially now it's very hot, so you can decide on whether or not, for example, a school where children are at and they don't have any air conditioning, the LG can now decide whether or not to send these kids to home because of the hot weather, or if the temperature in the building is just okay. So it gives them better visibility of these establishments. So again, for sensors in the soil, you can measure the moisture, you can measure the fertilizer level. So this is moving on, this is a setup for, let's say, the usual condo units. So you can choose to put in smart door locks there. We can use indoor air quality sensors. Again, very important, measuring the consumption of power and water. You can also have a smoke sensor. Though, what makes it different from the usual smoke sensors is our smoke sensors are able to send out SMS or email once it detects a potential fire for the establishment. So you can actually choose to have the unit owner alerted by SMS or email, admin, fire department, or the barangay, whatever the case may be. And it gives you better actually information dissemination in terms of what potential disaster. We also have PIR motion sensors. So this is for security purposes. You can actually see if there's somebody in the unit remotely. So this can also be used in secured areas like data centers and server rooms. So all of this data goes to a dashboard. We call it packet view. So the dashboard will give you the data that is collected, its trends, and with this data, you can now decide which direction to go, depending on your purpose, whether you want to improve the operations, increase production, yeah. So those are the things that you can derive from the dashboard. So at this point, we would like to reiterate as well that we are basically Packetworks is we are the technology experts, no? But in terms of data analytics, so that's another thing that you may choose to go for. So for those for data analytics, for those functions, you can have somebody do analytics for you, or you can actually integrate our data to a AI platform which can do the analytics for you as well. So this technology holds a lot of potential in terms of improving your operations based on data. Just to show you a sample dashboard that we just basically is a basic dashboard that you can see. So when we give you a dashboard of the devices, it shows actually the number of devices that we are monitoring, and we can choose to have the layout of the office or the building, or the area that we are monitoring there. So gives you an idea where these devices are located. You can also isolate each device. In this case, this is the indoor air quality sensor. So you can isolate it from the dashboard, and see the temperature levels, humidity levels, air quality for this one. So for CO2, there are certain thresholds that are being monitored. So if it's increasing, it's bad for you. So we must maintain it in a acceptable level. In the Philippines, we usually want to keep it to 1,000 or less. Because if it reaches 2,000, that's not a healthy environment anymore. People tend to experience headaches or loss of focus, uh, for this or difficulty in breathing for these types of levels. So that's just an example of how to use data for you to improve your building or your office. Like if it has a lot of CO2, you may choose to improve the ventilation in a certain room. Uh, because if you're packing a room with a lot of people, it emits a lot of CO2, and it tends to have them lose concentration on topics discussed in a meeting. So that's one sample dashboard for uh, indoor air quality sensors. So this is for water consumption. For the smart water meters, as you can see, we can actually do historicals on the water consumption. So it gives you also an idea if there's a leak. So how is that? Since you're given the data on a daily basis, if the consumption exceeds the usual daily consumption, that's an idea for you that there must be something wrong in the water system. You might want to check it out. So those are simple data that we can derive and help save resources. Similar with the power meters. For power meters, we can measure different aspects of the electricity. Also, if you're monitoring electricity consumption for large industries, it can help you address parameters being met for RA 11285, which is energy efficiency law in the Philippines. So if the energy auditor gives you a reading that you're using, you have inefficient use of electricity, uh, he can give you suggestions, but if you have the data already, he can give you where to improve in order to use your power efficiently in terms of the business. In relation to the law, as mentioned, if you meet the standards of the law, you're given incentives in terms of tax cuts. But if you go over it, you're going to be penalized, uh, which is hefty amounts of uh, monetary payments to the government. And we don't want that. So this is our growing community of clients and partners that we are working with, just to give you an idea. And basically, that's it for this virtual presentation. I hope you learned a bit or two about IoT. And if you were looking to learn more, you can talk to us, Packetworks. These are our contact numbers. Again, my name is John Calizo. You can call me up or send an email through this email addresses and go to our website as well. So yeah, so basically that's it. Thank you so much again to Famtech for giving me this opportunity to talk about IoT. And looking forward to increase for this technology from you guys. And let's help increase the awareness for IoT and increase its adoption in the Philippine market. Thank you so much, everybody, and God bless.